Good morning, everyone. May I have your attention? My name is Daniel Cremers, and on behalf of the general chairs, the program chairs, and the entire ECCV team, I would like to welcome you to ECCV 2018 here in Munich. This is by far the largest European conference on computer vision ever. In Zurich 2014 we had around 1,400 delegates. In Amsterdam 2 years later we had around 1,500 delegates. This year in Munich we have 3,200 delegates. This kind of growth was unexpected to most of our team. We saw the community was growing, but we didn't expect it would be at this level. When we reserved this venue here about 3 years ago, we figured 2,400 delegates that can fit in this room is more than enough. It's like 1,000 more than we had at the time, right? But over the years, the numbers kept growing, and you saw it in CVPR, we saw it in ICCV, the numbers were growing, and then we realized maybe this is not enough, and so we actually booked a separate room, the Karl Orff Hall, so that in total we were able to accommodate these 3,200 delegates. Nevertheless, I should say you all are the lucky ones, the ones who made it here, and I should apologize to the many people who were not allowed to attend. So there's about 1,200 people on the waiting list still. And again, my apologies, we were not predicting that level of growth. It's a very unprecedented level of growth for the European Conference on Computer Vision. So, although this is obviously unfortunate for all those who couldn't make it here, still I think in the end we should be happy because it shows that computer vision has risen to a very important field and it's really attracting lots and lots of people. And I think this speaks of the success of the technologies and methods that we've been developing for decades now, that all of a sudden are becoming really of a high practical value and importance, such that the community is growing so fast. But indeed, one of the questions to resolve for the future organizers is how to handle this immense growth of our community. I would like to also thank our sponsors. We have managed to increase the level of industrial sponsorship. So there are 7 diamond sponsors, 9 platinum, 9 gold, 27 silver, 8 startup, and 6 bronze sponsors. And please refer to our web pages to see the individual sponsors. At this point, I would like to also thank our 3 really strong industrial liaisons chairs who actually managed to bring all of this together. So let's thank them for doing a great job and for their support. ECCV 2018 at a glance. The main conference, there are 4 days starting today until Thursday here in the Gasteig building. All of it will be in this building. In addition, there are 3 days of workshops and tutorials at the main campus of TU Munich. There is a welcome reception tonight. And then there is a gala dinner for Wednesday night, but there again I need to apologize. Unfortunately, not all delegates are able to join, so it's really the early bird that gets the worm. I don't think we're offering worms for the gala dinner, but I think that's the saying. The main conference has 2 poster areas on the second floor of this Philharmonic foyer for the first 53 posters, and the second poster area is in the first floor of the Karl Orff foyer for posters 54 and 92. So please go to the respective areas to put up your posters. The demo session is scheduled for, there is demo sessions running in the Chorprobensaal on the first floor of the Philharmonic foyer. There will be coffee breaks. There will be coffee stations on each floor that offer small snacks. For lunch, there are multiple options for you. There is a self-payment bar here in the building, or there's quite a number of restaurants in the vicinity. We are very centrally located in central Munich here, so you can refer either to the conference app or to your preferred apps for locating suitable places. Unfortunately, no food and drinks are allowed inside the lecture hall, so please keep in mind to not bring drinks and food inside the lecture hall. Also, I should say, for those of you who have big baggage, there is a wardrobe where you can drop off your bags if you want. We made sure to have a very powerful wireless here so that all participants and delegates can use the wireless, for example, for accessing the electronic program online. But please don't download movies and bigger things. This is in the interest of all your delegates, fellow delegates. With that, I will hand over to our program chairs to give you a detailed report on the program. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Cristian Sminchisescu from Lund University and Google Research, and together with my program chair colleagues, Vittorio Ferrari, Hebert, and Yair Weiss, I would like to extend the welcome to this 15th edition of ECCV in Munich. ECCV has grown tremendously since its first edition in Antibes almost 30 years ago. At this edition, we had 2,439 valid submissions. We were able to accept 776 papers, 59 orals and 717 posters. The acceptance rate is 31.8%. It's a slightly higher acceptance rate than the historical average of ECCV, but we had nearly many more submissions, and we didn't want to impose any other artificial criteria for acceptance. The program consists of 4 days. We have about 3 oral sessions and 3 poster sessions most days, except Thursday, when we only have 2 poster sessions. The awards are presented during the banquet or gala dinner on Wednesday. This includes the Kendering prizes, the best paper, and the runner-ups. So the challenges associated with ECCV had to do with having about 56% more submissions over ECCV 2016. We were using for the first time a new version of CMT, CMT3, and this led to several issues that had to be solved along the way. There are a large number of actors. We are in the era of big data. Program chairs, 126 area chairs, almost 1,200 reviewers who produced more than 7,300 reviews. The area chairs were selected by experience, geographic diversity, as well as expertise from European, Asian, Australian, and North American institutions. There is a considerable increase in the number of area chairs with respect to the previous ECCV, where we only had 74. This was in an attempt to reach broader in our community, but also due to the increase in the number of papers and to keep the AC load manageable. On average, we had about 18 papers assigned to an area chair. As organizers, the program chair were mostly responsible for the design and the execution of the reviewing process, ensuring its integrity. So essentially, beyond administrative rejects, the PCs were involved in acceptance decision extremely rarely. This happened in practice for less than 10 papers. The program chairs were not allowed to co-author submissions. The general chairs, the other co-organizers who played no role in reviewing, were permitted to submit papers and were treated as any other author. The reviewing load was basically, so the reviewers were selected from previous major conferences, conference committees extended with suggested from area chairs. This process is somewhat ad hoc, suboptimal. There is no memory in the system in the strong sense. There is no community database, and this needs to be addressed moving forward. However, we attempted to assign no more than 8 papers to a reviewer. This is essentially the same load as ECCV 2016, despite an increase in the number of submitted papers. The reviewer invitation specified individual limits will not be set, partly because of the transition to the new system. So now I will pass the mic to my colleague Vito Ferrari, who will give further detail on the evaluation process. Please.
Thank you, Cristian. So I'm Vito Ferrari, another of the program chairs. I'm going to tell you a little bit how we run the reviewing process. The first thing we did is remove conflict of interest so that reviewers wouldn't be connected to the authors of a particular paper. This year, we were very fortunate to be able to use Open Review. It has a more detailed conflict system than simply the name of your institution. It also takes into account co-authorship graphs from your past work, for instance, and this enabled us to find better conflict-free matches with reviewers. One problem that we noticed that would be nice to address going forward for next organizers is trying to have a single identity for each reviewer and author, as opposed to using multiple email addresses. That complicates matters. So after conflicts, we made assignments. The program chairs assigned papers to ACs based on the affinity score from the Toronto paper matching system and this conflict data from Open Review. We assigned only about 18 papers to ACs, which we hope made them happy and encouraged them to participate again in future editions. Then the ACs suggested 7 reviewers for every paper on CMT3 based on the TPMS affinity scores. And the PCs then exported the whole thing into Open Review that enabled to make a very nice match between papers and reviewers. So here, first of all, we are grateful to the Open Review team that enabled us to run such a nice process. One challenge for the future that the future organizers might consider is to avoid using multiple systems like CMT3, Open Review, and TPMS and try to have it all in one integrated software. If that would exist, it would be great. So the review process, as many of you have pointed out, my inbox exploded at some point. We had some delays. We were forced to release the reviews 4 days after promised. We apologize for that. And a couple of reasons here were that, unfortunately, the community was under great pressure. At the day of the deadline, at the end, we were missing 700 reviews. It's a lot of reviews. And the program chairs and the area chairs together scrambled to find emergency reviewers and generally chase after the process. We're really grateful to everybody that helped, the area chairs especially. And the number, the dozens of emergency reviewers who jumped in at the last minute and helped us handle this load. Perhaps one cause that's worth mentioning is that the NIPS submission deadline was approximately a week or a few days after our reviewing deadline, and unfortunately several reviewers systematically refused to review because they wanted to spend their time on submitting to NIPS. So after this, there was a rebuttal period. After the reviewers wrote their first initial evaluation, there was no discussion trying to keep the reviews independent. And the authors then had 7 days to rebut. We had a really big discussion among the program chairs. Certain camps preferred to have a purely textual rebuttal, and other camps prefer to have a PDF rebuttal, and there are advantages in either of them, but in the end we decided to go for a 2-page PDF, and that was what we chose. Finally, after all these materials came in, the area chairs discussed the papers together with the reviewers anonymously on CMT and came to a decision. The area chairs came to a decision. After the primary chair wrote down a decision, a secondary AC was assigned to it that had to read it and confirm it, so to prevent errors and also to avoid unfair situations where perhaps a decision wasn't justified. The 2 area chairs together also were responsible for promoting papers to oral, which were then vetted by the program chairs that then accepted them. There will be also an award session with a few papers awarded particular status. This will happen during the gala dinner, not today. Finally, I point out that there were very, very few alleged plagiarist cases, and only 1 was serious, and it was reported and penalized. And to conclude, I would like to thank a lot of people that made this conference possible. Obviously, the general chairs that did a great job in finding an extended venue for you to attend. The area chairs, reviewers, publication chairs, tutorial and workshop chairs. The Open Review team was invaluable in this process. Laurent Charlin helped us with TMS. CMT team really helped smoothing out all the problems that were in this new software along the way. Frandorfer and Lore for maintaining the website, the CMU staff that helped a lot with the interfacing the data with CMT3, Springer team and the Interplan team that did a lot of the logistics for here, and particularly Jana Bilica and Elke Jaskolja. So thank you very much. And without further ado, I hand over to the first oral session.